Hey everyone, so with the whole lockdown situation, it has been kind of hard to get motivated lately, but I thought of a little project that would change that. And this is why I'd like to start a one day, one Chopin Etude kind of series where I will practice one Chopin Etude for 24 hours and just see what happens. We will start with Opus 10 and then just see where we finish. So each result will be very different because I've played some of the etudes and some I haven't yet. So yeah, there's only so far you can get in 1 week. So today we will start with Opus 10 number 1, the dreaded etude with the large arpeggios. And first off, you will probably have an easier time learning this if your hand is pretty large, and mine isn't really. So Opus 10 number 1, I have played this one before. I would say it has been with me for about a year on and off, but I haven't played this in a few months now, so I'll just see where we can start. I have played this before, I've practiced it quite a lot, but because I haven't played it for a few months, maybe you can hear that a lot of notes are already missing and the whole arpeggio seems a little bit smudged and just not very clean and nice. I think when you start learning this etude, you will realize that some arpeggios are actually kind of easier to play than the others because they're more natural in your hand, and others are not. And these are the bars you will really have to practice a lot and just find out whatever hand movement fits the best. But more importantly, the most difficult part about this etude is probably keeping the hand relaxed enough so you will make it to the end and not mess up the last pages because your hand is just too tense. And this is something you can only achieve with slow practicing, really paying attention to the movement of your wrist. I mean, there are no real breaks here ever, so yeah, you just need to keep your hand relaxed even though you're doing large arpeggios. I would advise you to practice the turning point and arpeggios separately, where you have to switch fingerings, so you can really get that wrist movement right. This can be really tedious at times, but it really helps connecting the notes. I found this really old book by Pozniak, who was a Polish piano critic, and he wrote really interesting stuff about all of Chopin's pieces. I mean, it's needless to say he adored Chopin, but still he's really harsh sometimes, so he calls the first etude the weakest of all etudes actually. And that is because he thinks Chopin only wrote this as a kind of introduction, maybe a prelude for all the etudes, which does make sense somehow because it supports the theory that the etudes aren't just published in any order, and the first one does act kind of like a prelude, but I wouldn't say it makes it that weak. I actually really enjoy that this etude, maybe in contrary to other etudes, really doesn't have such an emotional side. It's more about the colors of the harmonics, and that just by itself is already quite beautiful to me. Just like the first prelude of Bach, I mean, you've probably heard it a million times, it's not really that interesting anymore, but it does still bring the kind of epic introduction, which just tells you how beautiful harmony can just be by itself. that's it for now. I think the progress was kind of okay for one day. There are still some mistakes and things that need to be fixed. But that was to be expected, honestly. So I'll keep working on that and start with the second etude. See you soon.